So we are very grateful for her. I believe she's in India, so I don't know, maybe very early in the morning. And she offered to do this series of talks for the ashram, and we're very grateful for her generosity. She has a very busy schedule. She's been coming here regularly as a guest speaker, and now that we're closed, she will be speaking online for the next coming satsangs. So the title of her program is Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is a set of talks that will examine the ways in which the word yoga is used in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's a very fascinating topic. The Bhagavad Gita is using the word yoga in different chapters and in different ways. And this will be the subject of this series of talks. And we would like to introduce Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati and read her bio. Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati, PhD, is a widely recognized scholar of Advaita Vedanta, teaching internationally through lectures and seminars. She is a disciple of Pujya Sri Swami Dayananda Ji Saraswati and is known for her expertise in interreligious engagement and Advaita Vedanta. She is the Acharya of Arsha Vijnana Gurukulam and its centers throughout the United States. As a founding member of the Global Women's Peace Initiative, Swamini Svatmavidyananda has traveled throughout the world to address the challenges that face humanity on a global scale, ranging from climate change to religious and social unrest. Relating ancient wisdom to modern times, she draws from the spiritual knowledge found within the central text of the Hindu tradition. So her guru, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, actually he left his body a few years ago, but he's one of the greatest teachers of Advaita Vedanta. He visited our ashram a few years back, and he was also quite involved with the interreligious dialogue and interfaith projects. And Swamini Svatmavidyananda accompanied him when he traveled and assisted him in this regard. Also, as many of you know, Swamini Atma Prakashananda is also a close disciple of Swami Dayananda, and she stayed here for many months, almost a year, and was teaching us the Upanishad. She just left a few days ago. So it's a good timing for us to start a new program with another disciple of Swami Dayananda. So let us give a warm welcome to Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati.
Thank you, Rukmini, for the wonderful introduction. And thanks to all of you for inviting me to speak through this medium, which is so near yet so far. This is what I have to say about Zoom. And I can picture all of you sitting where you are sitting. As it was mentioned, I have been there, and so in a way, this is a continuation of our sacred and beautiful time spent together. Krishna Chaitanya already recited the opening prayer, Sahana Bhavatu. So we can continue. And yoga in the Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful topic embodied by I was inspired by this topic because it is very much embodied by all of you sitting in a small island in the Bahamas and practicing the vision and the message and the way of life unfolded in the Bhagavad Gita, right by the side of conspicuous consumption in the form of tourist hotels, hotel complexes, huge reminders or in the form of these cruise ships, in the form of all that capitalism and humanity has to offer uh, by way of bhoga, consumption. Following a path of yoga, and we'll see very quick, shortly what all that entails, is by no means an easy task, even in the most conducive of circumstances. So I have nothing but praise and uh, awe and admiration for all of you in the Sivananda Yoga Ashram to be following this lifestyle with dedication, commitment, and total samadhana, focus, despite everything that is happening outside. This is, in fact, yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, that which is practiced in your ashram and in other ashrams worldwide. This is something which is very beautiful to emulate, and that is why I was inspired to give this as a offer this as a topic for looking deeply into what all this entails. Yoga uh, has is a Sanskrit word derived, as many of you know, from the root verb yuj. Yuj means many things in the Sanskrit lexicon. Many things. Uh, there are three root verbs. All of them yuj, yujir, like this. They have slight differences and slightly different meanings. But then when you make them into a masculine noun, they all somehow, through different grammatical operations, end up in the word yoga. Very nice. They all end up as yoga. And so, what is this? What is this yuj? So, the first meaning is in the sense of samyama. Samyama means a kind of a mental discipline. Samyama, a, a, a kind of a discipline, a dedicated discipline, spiritual discipline, a restraint. All this is samyama. This is one meaning of the word yuj. And we find that in the widely used in the Bhagavad Gita, as in the sixth chapter is full of them. Yuktahara viharascha. So, there is a certain moderation that is talked about in the deployment of speech, in the deployment of cheshta. Cheshta means the movement of hands and legs, organs of action. So that is one way in which the word yuj is used, samyame, yuja samyame, and that is the 10th conjugation root, if anybody is curious in knowing. And then there is another meaning, yuja samadhau, in the sense of cessation, samadhi. And that definition we can see in the Yoga Sutra itself, in the initial Yoga Sutra, yogaschitta vritti nirodha. The cessation of mental activity is the definition of yoga. So this is a very this is the second way in which the term yoga is used in Sanskrit. And then finally, yujir yoge, yujir yoge. here, yoga means to join, to connect, to join things that at least on the face of it apparently cannot be joined. Starting with various body parts that you can't even imagine can be bent and joined together in the form of asana, all the way to yoking the mind to concentrate on Bhagavan, Ishvara in the form of japa. So this joining this is in order to be able to train the mind to prepare for the knowledge, to see that everything is already joined, connected, nothing is detached, nothing is disjointed, all is one. So these are the three ways in which the Sanskrit word yoga, these are the three what's the word for it, these are the three definitions. And this is important to note because the word yoga has become a what should I say, like the word guru. The word yoga has walked over to the English dictionary. And of course, once it does that, then it has many, many different meanings and so many different interpretations. So the word yoga also means a connection. That's why, every chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is called yoga. The first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So here, yoga doesn't mean samyama. It doesn't mean a certain discipline or restraint. It doesn't mean a way of life. Neither does it mean cessation, nor does it mean joining. Here it's an entirely different, meaning. Here it means the topic that is going to connect us to the message of this chapter. So Arjuna Vishada Yoga is not a way of life. That's why sometimes people get confused and they think that the Bhagavad Gita espouses 18 forms of ways of life because there are 18 chapters. Arjuna Vishada, as many of you know, means sadness of Arjuna. So sadness is not a recommended way of life in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, it is Ananda, the opposite of sadness, limitless joy, unbridled, limitless joy, which is the nature of oneself to waiting to be discovered. This is what the whole thing is. And so therefore this initial understanding has to be clear. So how is the word yoga being used? And there are many examples, because the word yoga appears so many times in the Bhagavad Gita and in different ways. But what I have decided to do is to pick three different verses, and believe me, that will be plenty for the time that we have, to pick three different verses that highlight the definition of yoga, where the word yoga is overtly defined by Lord Krishna. This is what we will be looking at, and in the coming days, starting with this evening. And so this way, what will happen is that the focus will be kept on the definitions, and we will not get lost in different ways. So with this introduction, let us just get into the topic of the Bhagavad Gita itself. So this is how the talk will proceed, at least for today. So I will first talk about the importance of the Bhagavad Gita in one's life, why it is important to study, and what this yoga is all about, what are the topics of the Bhagavad Gita, and then we will from there, hone into the first definition of this concept of yoga. And so we will do that. There is a verse in the praise of the Bhagavad Gita, and where it says, Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anyaihi Shastra Vistaraihi. And what does that mean? It means the Gita should be studied extremely well. And then
the author of this shloka says, of what use are other other forms of what should I say, other forms of writing, other forms of religious scriptural writings known as the Shastra teachings, Kim Manyaihi Shastra Vistaraihi, all these Shastras, that the teachings that go into detail about the nature of the self, etc., of what use are they? This is a rhetorical question which basically says that the Gita alone, if it is studied very well, the other forms of Shastras are as good as of no use, because whatever is in the Bhagavad Gita is everywhere else, and whatever is not in the Bhagavad Gita is not covered anywhere else. This is a very tall praise. This is a very, very tall order, and this is something to look into and question whether indeed there is some kind of an exaggeration. Is there an exaggeration? Let's say there is some kind of a subjectivity, can we say? Perhaps the person writing this shloka, Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anyaihi Shastra Vistaraihi, was maybe just very fond of the Gita and just praised it to the skies. So is it a hyperbole? This is something we have to look into. And then when we look at the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is defined as Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya is not a small thing. Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman. In fact, there is no of, because the knowledge that is Brahman. And Brahman means you, that which is limitlessly big, that which is the source of the universe, that which is Ishvara, Bhagavan, God. This is what is Brahman. And there is an equation made between the jiva, the jaded, faded jiva, namely the individual, feeling disconnected from oneself, feeling disconnected from the whole, feeling disconnected from other jivas, feeling disconnected from the world, feeling disconnected from the source of the Jagat, the world, which is Bhagavan. So this sad, mad individual known as the Jiva is searching for Ishvara, the whole, searching for Brahman. And this search is embedded in every heart in the form of a longing. And if we look deeply into the longing, it is a longing to belong. That is what the longing is. And and if this longing to belong, if this longing for oneness, if this longing for being one with, being again within quotes, because it's all one is already one, if this longing for being one with Ishvara goes unrecognized, then this longing gets scattered and morphed into various kinds of local longings for satiation of certain ragas, strong preferences, and dveshas, strong prejudices. So if this longing, which is already there, so in a way, the individual jiva is hardwired for freedom from seeking, which is called moksha. And so if this is not recognized, there's only one longing, and that longing is to be one with everything. That longing is to be free of being or feeling a sense of limitation, which is also known as bondage, quote unquote bondage, and which is also in Sanskrit called samsara. This longing is, if it is not recognized, it mutates, just like the coronavirus. First we were only afraid of COVID-19. Now we have COVID-19.1, the UK variety. Then we have the COVID-19.2, the South African variety. Then we have COVID-19.3, the Brazilian variety. I mean, how many ways? How many things, you know? So similarly, if that original longing it goes unaddressed due to self-ignorance, atma ajnanam, then what happens? Then it morphs and scatters into various variants, mutant desires. and and so that's why one goes away from yoga, joining the mind to Bhagavan in the form of japa, sadhana, etc. One gets derailed from all that and goes into bhoga. Bhoga is the opposite of yoga, instant gratification, because the longing is so strong. And the longing has been put there by Bhagavan. It is part of the manifestation of this body mind sense complex. It is part and parcel of that. And it is the only desire that is worth fulfilling. No other desire is worth fulfilling, because all other desires fall flat on the ground and do namaskara to this desire. They all resolve in this desire to be one with the whole. In other words, to discover oneself as Brahman. And that is why the Bhagavad Gita, the topic, the subject matter, the first subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita is Brahma Vidya, the knowledge that unites one with the truth of oneself as Bhagavan, as Ishvara. This is something which cannot be overlooked. In fact, this is really the main point of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita has inspired everybody all over the world and from the last so many centuries to see in it whatever they want to see. And this is not a bad thing. So in a way, Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi, it is said, started his day by looking, he would just fold his hands, join his hands in front of the Bhagavad Gita book, close his eyes and pray to be guided, and just open the book randomly and just with his eyes closed put his finger on any of the print, and whichever verse his finger laid on that day, he would use that verse as a guiding principle. This is a wonderful sadhana, very, very nice. And then also, contemporaries of Mahatma Gandhi during the colonial struggle in India took from the Bhagavad Gita whatever inspiring verses they wanted to take and share with the people. So they wanted to share with the people so many different things and inspire them to raise one voice in unison against British tyrannical colonial rule. And so they took all these verses that have to do with Lord Krishna instructing Arjuna to fight. Tasmad yuddhaya yujyasva. Commit yourself to this fight. Why are you just sitting in the chariot, Arjuna, like a tamasic person? What happened to this warrior? Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya justam asvargyam. This is not going to bring you glory in the here or the hereafter. Did you forget you're a warrior and you are just completely eclipsed by a despair? I have never known you. I have known you since childhood, O Arjuna. Get up. What is wrong with you? Get up, fight. So these kinds of verses became an instant hit with the freedom fighters struggling against the British rule and struggling for independence. And then we have, regular grihasthas, householders, masses of householders who keep the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita has a permanent place in the puja room on the altar. Every day a flower is placed, very, very beautiful. And they took from it something that was useful for them. And what was that was useful for them? work is worship. And look upon your swadharma, follow your swadharma. What does swadharma mean? Your own duty, appropriate for your designation in life right now, called ashrama. So what is appropriate for your ashrama, for your particular placement in your life? So are you a student? Yes. Okay, what is your swadharma? To study. Simple. That's all is your swadharma. It's not anything else. It's not to start some kind of a business on the side while you're studying. It's not to become a YouTube star, in the in the spare time you may have by uploading things on the videos. And so it's not that. It is to study if you are a student. And the ages were also given. We saw this in the yesterday's satsang, which was very nice. We saw it in the reading. What constitutes brahmacharya, what constitutes grihasthashrama, all these things. So there were certain age groups, certain lifestyle. Grihastha, the person who is a householder. Usually one is not a householder, one is house held, held by the house, not a householder at all. Holder means if I'm holding something, I can drop it. But here, the poor householder, you tell the householder, okay, drop the house, come to the ashram. They will not be able to do that. So house held, not householder. Okay. So the householder, the second stage, it's a place of giving, contributing to society. The first lifestyle is that of a consumer. The first ashrama as a student, because you're reliant on parents and the whole neighborhood and the whole community to feed you, to educate you. And then after that, when you get married, you are supposed to give back to the society, to uphold the society, to earn and to give back. Then you let go of that too. And then that is vanaprastha. You kind of repair to a quiet life. You cannot say to the forest, because we have, sadly to say, deforested everything. And so you repair to a quiet life. And then finally, sannyasa, you drop everything. It's just you and the sky. You are just focused on the knowledge. And so these, so at every stage in life, there are, there are certain duties. And we saw this yesterday. And so there are certain duties yesterday for me, for you earlier morning satsang. Okay. So there are duties attached to that. And so for the householders, the Bhagavad Gita just became a whole treatise of action. How to act, what to do. So it became a kind of an encyclopedia of what is my swadharma, what is, what am I supposed to do right now, and how should I do it in a way that is dedicated and worshipful. So as you can see from these examples, everybody takes whatever they want to take from the Bhagavad Gita. And this is not a bad thing. This is all a wonderful thing. This is how it should be. This is all great. This is all fantastic. However, we have to be faithful to what is it that the Bhagavad Gita wants to teach us. We can't just, have a one-sided relationship with the Bhagavad Gita and approach the text. Because it's as good as an Upanishad. So it's as good as a revealed text. So without seeing first, what is it that it wants to reveal to us? We cannot approach the text with a certain kind of a kartritvam, a certain kind of a mislaid agency, and say, I'm going to see what you have to tell me, and I'm going to only take what I want from this. This would not be fair to the Bhagavad Gita, and frankly, it is a loss for the jiva. It is a loss for the individual. So if we sit back, relax, and let the Bhagavad Gita reveal what is it wants to reveal, then we get two primary topics. Only two. And within these topics, all the other topics revolve like satellites. So there are two primary topics. How do we know? Because we chant these two topics to remind us in a small little verse. No, it can't even be called a verse. In a small little phrase, paragraph at the end of each chapter. Ite Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade Purushottam Nama Panchadashodhyayah. This is what we chant at the end of each chapter. It is to remind ourselves what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. So there are two topics here. And it says, iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, iti means thus. Thus means whatever has gone by in the terms of the verses that we have seen in the chapter. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, and what is this Bhagavad Gita? Upanishadsu. It should be treated like an Upanishad alone. It is nothing short of revealed knowledge, even though it technically comes under Smriti, which is, human written knowledge composed by Lord Vyasa. But it should be dealt and treated with as revealed knowledge. With utmost reverence and devotion, we study this. Upanishadsu. And what is in this? Brahma Vidyayam. This is Brahma Vidya. It is a moksha shastra. It is a shastra of liberation. It is a treatise of liberation, not a treatise of action. Because the first portion of the Veda is already talking about how to act, where to act, all these things. It is a treatise of liberation. This is something that is best remembered, and that's why we chant this at the end of every chapter. And then what? And then there is another topic. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra, Yoga Shastre. And so the teaching here, along with Brahma Vidya, is given a committed lifestyle that is conducive to gaining this knowledge that I am already free. And so that is what is called Yoga Shastra. Very beautiful. This is all talked about in the Bhagavad Gita itself. The Bhagavad Gita reveals to us the two topics that it is going to unfold in every single chapter. Brahma Vidya, number 1. Yoga Shastra, number 2. Very, very beautiful. And so, therefore, this is something which is so beautiful to see, because if we approach the Bhagavad Gita with a certain objectivity, we see that there are two topics. The first one is a primary topic, Brahma Vidya, and Yoga Shastra is a topic in the dedication. It's an auxiliary topic in order to help ourselves to Brahma Vidya. And so Brahma Vidya means what? It's the vision of Vedanta. And simply put, you are not what you think you are. Very, very, it is, what should I say? A, B, C, D of Brahma Vidya. A for Atma, B for Brahman, C for Chit, D for Dharma. This is what it is. And so this is very simply put. What is Brahma Vidya? Brahma Vidya is just, you are the whole. You are not what you think you are. And whatever you think you are is a superimposition upon that I that is free of that very thing that you think you are. I am sad. Nah, you are not sad. You are Ananda. You are joy. You are limitless, unbridled joy. Also sometimes translated in the Vedantic words, Vedantic texts as bliss. So you are joy. And then what? You are total joy. You are not you are not sad. No, but I am finite. No, you are infinite. I am a mortal. You are Amrita. You are immortal. And this is, I am an idiot. No, you are all knowledge. You are not ignorant, you are all knowledge. So this is the vision of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the vision of Vedanta. You are Satchidananda. You are the only source of existence. That is sentient, that is all knowledge, and without a second. Therefore, there is nothing else to constrict that joy and that forever, that which you want to be. Ananda is equal to Ananta, forever. And this we have seen in the Taittiriya Upanishad. And so this is simply put the message of Vedanta. And then, of course, this is what is in keeping with the original human longing, which, when it is recognized, is a great blessing. When it is not recognized, one is going glub, 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 drowning permanently in the waters of samsara. And so therefore what? So therefore, this is something which we have to look at very, very carefully and see that this Satchidananda is not a state, it is you. It is not something to be attained. It is already you. It is Svata Siddha. It is already established as you and you alone. And then therefore what? But I don't know it. So it is something that has to be discovered, uncovered through the study of the Bhagavad Gita. This is simply put the message and the topic of the Bhagavad Gita. Then, of course, the Jiva being Jiva, like even our Arjuna, who we all know and love. And why do we love Arjuna? Because he vocalizes all the secret questions that we have. That we don't know how to ask, or we were too polite to ask. He vocalizes that. And a very important question that is a recurring theme in the Bhagavad Gita comes out of the mouth of Arjuna, that says, well, if knowledge is the way to freedom, then why do you keep saying, oh Krishna, oh Bhagavan Krishna, why do you keep saying, therefore get up and fight? Isn't there a contradiction in you saying that, look, you are already free, you are the whole, you need to sit and study this in a committed way? One time Vedanta is not, it's not going to cut it, because there are so many orientations that go contrary to the vision. So the vision of division presides over the mind like a total solar eclipse. When we see the photo of the total solar eclipse, there is kind of what they call the diamond ring effect. There is a ring of light with a little point which is like a diamond, there. And ironically, it is because of the sun that we can see the eclipse. Similarly, it's because of the Svata Siddha Atma, the I that is already self-revealing, that you can even see that there is ignorance. You can sense the ignorance. So the ignorance is removed through the antidote, which is self-knowledge. And so Arjuna knows this, because the whole of the second chapter is devoted to the unfoldment of the I as not subject to death, not subject to destruction by any means whatsoever, as something, nitya, shuddha, as pure, free of guilt, hurt, papa, punya, free of all demerits and merits, and not coming to an end, immortal. And then what? As this was being revealed, Arjuna has a very important and a persistent question that is there, that is a recurrent theme in the Bhagavad Gita. And what is that question? The question is, if knowledge is the ticket to freedom from samsara, from the sorrow that I'm feeling when I'm confronted by all these my people that I have to now kill, now I have to wage war. Why, oh Krishna, why are you making me fight this war, when all I have to do is to go to Rishikesh? From Kurukshetra to go to Rishikesh, it's a day and a half journey by walk. Let me go there. I mean, I don't want this terrible war. Who wants this war? Not me. I don't want this terrible war. I want to just go, become a Swami. In fact, I have already ordered some orange dhotis on Amazon.com and it's already coming. I have given the forwarding address as Rishikesh. It will be delivered there. And then, so I should just leave everything and study according to your own teaching. You only said Brahma Vidya is the topic, and this is the only thing. And I'm sad because I don't know myself. So then, what is the antidote? I need to know myself. And so now what are you saying? You are saying tasmad yoga, you just get up, fight, don't sit like a, like a tamasic person. Don't just let the Gandiva, the bow, slip from your hand. Wipe off the perspiration from your brow. What is this? Are you a chicken or are you a warrior? Come on, fight. So I don't see the reconciliation of these two injunctions. First, sit and study. That's the only way to freedom. Second, get up, fight. And the word fight has to be, what should I say, is a upalakshana, is a metaphor of do your duty. Get up and act. Keep acting, keep doing what you're doing. So there is a contradiction. Arjuna is very, very sharp. And he points out this as though contradiction. And he questions Lord Krishna repeatedly. What is this that is going on? Tell me. And Lord Krishna smiles and says, basically, this is a lifestyle. You need to fight because you have left something unfinished. And you are in an eagerness to leave it. Means there is a raga attached to leaving. Raga means a preference. You have a strong preference to leaving the battlefield. And leaving the battlefield means what? You want to run away. And if you follow your raga, it will lead you deeper into the ocean of samsara, nowhere else. Because you are not leaving because you have a desire for knowledge. You are leaving because you cannot stand the sight of fighting what you call your own people. Mamakaha. Your own people, you cannot stand the sight of fighting, the thought of fighting. That's why you are leaving. You are not leaving with an altruistic motive of wanting to, wanting to have this vairagya, this dispassion with the world, like we hear in the Mundaka Upanishad, that, the person of some discrimination develops a dispassion of all the things and pursuits in the world and presents himself or herself to the Guru, asking humbly for this knowledge. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is just is an act of convenience. And you're couching this act of convenience as some kind of what's that word? As some kind of a justification for leaving the battle. I'm not going to allow you that. This clearly shows you are not fit for this knowledge yet. Solely for this knowledge, you are not qualified, O Arjuna. Besides, this is not something mentioned in the Gita, but this is worth noting in the larger context of the Mahabharata. What do we find? This Arjuna was, for 12 years, they were in the forest, where they were surrounded by holy people and sages. And Arjuna could have desired and asked for the knowledge any time. He could have asked Krishna, teach me right now. Forget this battle. Forget the baddies, Duryodhana, Dushasana. Let them just do whatever they want. He had no such dispassion, no such vairagya came to him. And suddenly this vairagya of convenience comes when you are confronted with something you don't want to do. This is not someone who is prepared for this knowledge. This is not someone for whom the knowledge blesses. The knowledge blesses the person when the person is ready. And the readiness for the knowledge is measured in certain values, in the cultivation of certain values. First is viveka, discrimination between that which is lasting, nitya, and that which is finite, anitya. So that discrimination must be there, and the desire for the nitya must be discovered. This is called viveka. Then on the heels of it, the twin brother of Viveka is Vairagya. So if I want the infinite, then I have to drop the pursuits of the finite. This is Vairagya. If the infinite is desired badly, very much, if there's a strong desire for the infinite, the finite has to just fall away, drop away. This is Vairagya. The dropping of the finite consciously is Vairagya. Then the desire to be free must be strong. Mumukshutvam. And then there is a six pack, not in like six pack abs, but six pack as in six attitudes and values. A resolved mind, a say over the organs of actions, and then an ability to let go of the small stuff. And as we progress in this knowledge, all the big stuff also one converts into the small stuff and lets it go. And then the forbearance, the ability to put up with some discomfort in order to gain this knowledge, to look past the discomfort, and the ability to receive the knowledge with an open mind, without agenda, with reverence. And finally, the ability to apply oneself to the pursuit of this knowledge with a single-minded focus. This is the 6 qualities that have to be cultivated. And for a person who is blessed with these accoutrements, that person is called adhikari, qualified for this knowledge. Then the preparation really is 9/10 of the job. Then the knowledge, which is just 1/10 of the whole picture, blesses. And so Arjuna is clearly not ready for the knowledge. It is very clear even in his question. And so therefore, Lord Krishna blesses him with what is called Yoga Shastra, the knowledge of how to live a life conducive to gaining these qualifications and at the same time pursuing the knowledge, aka Karma Yoga. This constitutes the majority of what is meant by yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. This Yoga Shastra is not something to be glided over or glossed over. In fact, the Karma Yogi alone becomes a person of knowledge, is the one who is entitled to this knowledge. And what is the definition of this yoga, etc., we will presently see. But the first thing that was pointed out in Arjuna's question, why should I fight this fight with this horrible Ghora karma, this horrible fight of killing my own people? Why should I engage in this war when knowledge liberates and action, you say, binds? Knowledge liberates. Then why are you condemning me to this life of action by fighting this horrible, terrible war? If this is if this is what is talked about, then that is where the 2 topics are highlighted. You can see that clearly. So the knowledge, it is something to know, it is not something to do. But the doership doesn't go very easily. The ahankara, the I notion, also called ego, the I notion that I am the producer of action, I am an agent of action, and I am the recipient of the results. And then, of course, I don't like the results that come as a result of my action, and therefore I engage in more action in order to alter the result of action. And then again, I don't like the result of action. Then I act some more. Then I unleash a series of other actions in order to alter the result of action, simply because I don't know a simple fact. What is that? The results of action cannot be altered because they come from the altar known as Ishvara. You cannot alter you have no say over the result of action. You are only have a say over the action. And this is something that is a very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Karmani eva adhikarahate ma bhaleshu kadachana. So you are not the producer of the result of action. This is God given, Ishvara given, Ishvara blessed result of action. Your own action is gift wrapped and recycled. Ishvara is the first ecologist, recycles your action into result of action and gives it back to you gift wrapped. So your own result of action, karma, comes back given by Ishvara. You are not in charge of that at all. And so therefore what? Therefore, the first step of karma yoga is to get to know this Ishvara, who is giving me the result of action, is to relate to Ishvara, is to settle accounts with Ishvara. That also is in keeping with the first definition of yoga that we shall see in the next session and in the session tomorrow. And what is that? Samatvam yogaha uchyate. Uchyate, it is said. Yogaha, that yoga is what? Samatvam, equanimity. Equanimity is yoga. Equanimity in relation to what? In relation to receiving the results of action is the first step of getting to know Ishvara, is the first step of purifying the mind in order to make space for the knowledge of Bhagavan, in order to have Bhagavad Darshanam, in order to have inner darshan of Bhagavan within one's own heart. Some space has to be made. It is cluttered with the cobwebs of raga and dvesha. So the Bhagavad Gita is a broom. And the Guru is the wielder of the broom that goes in the antahkarana, in the recesses of the heart and the mind, and does a clean sweep of all the things that obstruct the presence of Bhagavan sitting right then and there. So this much is enough for today. From tomorrow, we will take up the first definition of yoga. Samatvam yogaha uchyate. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. There is one question, and I'll just answer it briefly if I'm not delaying you. The name of God is sometimes Brahman, sometimes Ishvara, and sometimes Narayana. For the simple-minded, how do these relate? It's just like, so, you may have it's just like a person somebody called Jeffrey will be called Jeff by the parents and will be called something else by the friends, will be called something else by the bosses, and will be called something else, by the co-workers, but it's the same person. Same person claimed as a son, claimed as a daughter, claimed as a spouse. It's the same thing. From different standpoints. Brahman from the standpoint of the feeling of finiteness and limitation. Narayana, Narasya Ayanam, the goal of the human being. Very beautiful name. Ishvara, the overlord of everybody. So this is just to see the same from different standpoints so that our relationship is stronger. Our knowledge is much more all-round, because you see the cobwebs sit in different ways. So Narayana is one particular kind of broom that sweeps the aimless, goal-less individual, and Ishvara is another broom. So we need different brooms, like they are different attachment to the vacuum cleaner. Like when you have a vacuum cleaner, you have some small brush which cleans the corners and one big hose, and so different attachments, all in order to be not attached. Okay. Yeah. So that is what it is. Thank you to you all. Now I think there will be Arati, correct?
Yes. Thank you very much. We would like to give a big thank you to Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati. Let's give her a big hand. and she will continue tomorrow in the morning satsang. So tomorrow we start morning satsang at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and after the silent meditation and the chanting, we will begin the second talk on the yoga in the Bhagavad Gita with Swamini Svatmavidyananda around 6:45 Eastern time. After the satsang, we have a yoga class at 8:30 to 10. This is online on Zoom, part of the subscription for daily yoga classes, and it is with Bhargavi. And it is a class for all levels. At 4:30, we have another all-level class with Shambhavi. And in the evening satsang at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we start with the meditation and chanting. And around 8:45, we begin the talk with Swamini Svatmavidyananda. So we would like to welcome all those of you who are joining us on the Zoom and also Facebook Live, and to invite you to a free webinar this coming Sunday. This free webinar, it will be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's on January 31st. And we will be introducing the new online TTC that we're offering in February. And we invite you all to come with your questions. We will be explaining about the course and the schedule, the structure, the content of the course, and the powerful transformation that people go through by joining such a course. So if you're considering it, please come to the free webinars and Sunday at 11 a.m. Go on our website to reserve your spot for this webinar. The course itself begins on February 24th, and it's a 4-week immersion. And it is was developed by Swami Vishnudevananda in order to lead people to attain inner transformation, inner peace, so they can share it with others. We have another Theta Healing Basic DNA Level 1 certification course on February 6 to 8. And this course is a certification professional training with Narayan Jyoti and Shambhavi. So Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Monday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This course, you have to attend live. We're not doing it as a pre-recorded course. And it is based on the healing modality of Vayana Steibel called Theta Healing, which is a groundbreaking technique that facilitates and strengthens powerful emotional, physical, and spiritual healing by changing limiting patterns of belief into a pure creation of what you truly and authentically want. So now we conclude with the Guru Puja for Swami Vishnudevananda by our priest Krishna Nambudri, and then we do the final prayers and the Arati. Om Tat Sat.
Bhattitam Umasudam Shokavinajagat Namani Vigneshwara Padabangajam Shadananam Gungumadiktavarnam Mahamangam Divyamayo Rudrasya Sunam Sainanadam Guhandanam Charanam Prapatye Ya Kundendu Tushara Devala Gaya Shubhravastra Ya Veena Vedadanda Manditakara Ya Shveda Vatmana Ya Brahma Chuda Shankara Prabhudibi Devai Sada Pujida Samam Padu Saraswati Bhagavati Nishidhaja Pyavara Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapancham Shri Shivanandaya De Namah Shri Vishnu Devanandaya De Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvata Sadike Sharanye Triyambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om Sagana Vado Sagano Bunako Vijangara Tejasvinavadidamastu Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadguru Shivananda Maharaj ki jai. Om Shivananda Maharaj ki jai. Kambradaram Vishnu Yavanam Bhujam Pradhanam Dhyaya Paritmam Shande. Mobada Samasa Dridakshidvara Sri Parameshwar Sri Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Sabha Sagala Sangate Sahara Sangate Sambhara Swami